We are told every single day that Africa is a land of hunger. But when we look at the raw industrial data, you discover something shocking. Africa is not starving because it is not growing food. It's starving because a huge proportion of what it produces never make it to the dining table. The food rots under the sun. We are not poor. Our wealth is simply melting away.
Refrigeration, as you said, is not only for ice cream. In Africa, this is very important because we cannot develop a continent without feeding people. Feeding the people should be the first challenge to overcome. And this challenge, up to now, the cradle of humanity, that is the continent, the African continent, we still have this challenge because we don't develop refrigeration sector. Because with post-average losses is very, 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 very high. And I've been in more than 50% of African countries. The production are different, but the loss are more or less the same, depending on the country and the product. But average losses are between 40 to 70%, depending on product and also in country. I've been in Nigeria 2 years ago. I even have opportunity to talk with Honorable Minister, Federal Minister of Agriculture. He told me that the post-average loss in terms of fruit and vegetable in Nigeria is 65%. You can imagine that we are producing and we are losing 55% of our production because we don't have a reliable cold chain. We are losing our foodstuff and we import food in Africa.
Now, here is what nobody talks about. Why our crop melts. Two countries are making billions selling us the cure. According to market data, the global commercial refrigeration industry is now worth over $50 billion. And who captured that wealth? Fortune Business Insight shows that China and the United States control the high-value technology and major industrial equipment pattern, pulling tens of billions in pure profit every single year. Look at the math. Our farmer grows the food, the sun destroys it. Then we pay American and Chinese corporation top dollar to import the very machine needed to save our own harvest. We are not just losing crops, we are renting our basic survival from foreign landlords. Now, pair that multi-billion-dollar extraction with a market where human demand is already exploding every single day. Look at what happened when you look at basic animal protein in countries like Zimbabwe, as it is in many other countries across Africa.
What I can tell you is in a week, you'd see people eating 4 times, chicken 4 times. In terms of egg, this is for breakfast. So every day you'd see a middle income person eating an egg a day. So this translates to the demand of chickens. And people are highly conscious, and most of their meals are chicken. People are running away from beef, and you say they want white meat. So I would say a chicken is eaten 4 times a week. Out of 7 days, definitely a person will be eating 4 times a week. So that will give you the statistics to say out of this 16 million population, you would see if you are saying 4 times in 7 days, it translates to a better number.
A population of 16 million eating chicken 4 times a week isn't just a dinner menu. It's a multi-billion-dollar industrial machine. And as Norman explained, the meat is only the beginning of the asset. Poultry have several variety of derivative.
Actually, the poultry sector is a billion-dollar economy, and it's a billion-dollar industry. And chicken is good products. For example, from the chicken you get your manure, which is then used in farming. In terms of vegetables, your maize, etc., you can put chicken manure in that production. And also when you hatch your eggs, they what we call the infertile eggs. Do you know that people use that to breed dogs? The eggs which have not hatched in the hatchery, you can then breed dogs. You mix with your spaghetti, you mix with your meats. It's very good for puppies. It's very good for breeding dogs. And besides, the chicken feathers, They can also be used for making pillows, even the chicken feeds. Very good, actually, in terms of the meat side of it.
So you have massive market demand on one side and secondary waste turned into profit on the other. But how does an executive or founder sitting in London, Toronto, or Atlanta actually own a piece of this market in Africa? Yes, you can own a piece of the African market share.
We are working with the diaspora farmers. We are taking over 1,000 beds. We have got contract farming arrangements whereby Nema Chickens supplies chickens to the farmer at a cost as well as feed and antibiotics. Then we buy fertilized eggs when they reach maturity point of lay. So you buy all the products, whether you want to sell your fertile eggs or your point of lay. So we have got a market on our so farmers must not be scared to start this business. As long as you buy the pure bloodline from the chickens, we have the market for you.
This is brilliant execution. But here is where the system usually breaks down. If a farmer raises 200 or 2,000 birds, I have no way to freeze or preserve them during harvest. That 100% return collapses in the heat. This is where Madi Sakonde's cold chain means Norman's poultry farm.
As refrigeration is heavily taxed nowadays, people are, even if they understand, they cannot afford to have such an infrastructure to build a big cold room facility to start to storage the production, whatever it is, and to keep it and start to selling later on. Okay, this is a kind of business. When you talk to some, just who can do this kind of business, can be a Dangote or someone else at this level, or not so, or Tony Emelulu, or someone who are really big money. They can say, okay, let's invest in cold chain, and I will be happy to support them to develop technically the suitable equipment as well for Africa. Remember, I told you the refrigeration equipment is made to remove it. And 99%, for not saying 100%, expect what I'm designing myself in my company here, and I'm manufacturing for African country. The most of them are made for Western countries. And you know, in Western country, they don't have our heat. Nowadays, you can say, yes, it's getting more and more hotter in Africa, in Western country.
When you connect high demand agriculture with off-grid cold chain infrastructure, you stop sending small remittance payment for family survival. You begin building an industrial empire.
We African, we are living in, those who are in Africa, we are living in paradise. That in our mind, we say this paradise is a hell. And now we are trying to get to hell. When you arrive in hell where we are now, then you understand you join hell and you live in heaven. Even in Africa, we are everything there. We are soul to soul, we have the ground. Even the sun is the energy, is something free. And even our population, the youngest population in the world, by 2015, 20% of the population, 25% on 4 people, 1 person is supposed to be African. By 2015, so 24 years coming. So, but how can you say that we are poor? Our poverty is in our mind.
I started small. I started from my own personal savings, which I was getting from my salary. I would save almost 40% of whatever I get every month, and I started small. So the profits which I then get are the ones which I invest back, actually in the business. I would want to advise that never eat business money. When you are starting a business, you must be determined and you must run it professionally. You must not mix business money and family money. So whatever savings you are then doing from your profits, you then need to reinvest back in the business. But I would say, for us to be able to realize our potential, we need to have access to financing.
If you have watched to this far in this conversation, you understand the truth that we are not only poor, our wealth is simply melting away. This is why at AClasses Academy, we sit down to build a realistic blueprint that help you build your asset that can last. Use the link in this conversation or send me a DM. Let's take advantage of the raw resources that you have so that it never melt away, but it can be used to build an asset that you can own and truly own forever. Looking forward to seeing you at the back end.